All right, guys, welcome back to our NFL Power Rankings. This will be our last regular season Power Rankings. Next week, we have something a little different planned for Power Rankings since it's only going to be the playoff teams. That's all it's going to be. So this is the last time you may see your favorite team up here. So Carolina Panthers at number 32. They were playing well the last couple weeks heading up into week 17. And then all of a sudden they crapped the bed again. Looked horrible. I thought maybe they would have a chance, but the Jaguars stepped up. The Panthers took about 2 or 3 steps back. Commanders at number 31. Commanders, they've gotten worse as the season has gone on. Horrible defense. Can't play defense. There's not really too much else to say about this. Although, the beginning, they kept it close, but we kind of knew that the Niners would eventually pull away and, look like the Niners that we know. Number 30, you have the Patriots. Just a really bad year for them as well. Last time you're going to see them on here. Number 29, you have the Chargers. Their defense played all right for a change, but their offense, of course, without Justin Herbert and without, any structure to it, can't really get too much done, so they're staying put at number 29. The Giants moving down 2 spots, really disappointing loss to the Rams because I don't understand what the whole, spike situation was. You still had 40 seconds left on the clock. You could have gotten a couple more yards and gone into a better, field goal spot. Or maybe you're even going to give the Rams a chance to go down and score if you do that. But I don't really understand the decision making at the end there. But they put up a good fight. They've been putting up a good fight against some really good explosive football teams. But, they are losing a couple in a row. Do have some high hopes for next year. I think they have a lot of positives going into next year. But the Giants down 2 spots, number 28. The Jets at 27. The Jets have been the Jets, you know what I mean? Defense really couldn't get anything done. It was a rough week for them, but staying down here 27. 26, the Titans moving down 1 spot. Really, that game was never even close from the get-go. The Texans came out running. They came out sprinting, and they never took the foot off the gas. They just kept going all day long, and Titans got embarrassed last matchup against the Jaguars this weekend. All right, number 25, you have the Cardinals. They moved up 3 spots after a really big win versus the Eagles. You have guys like Greg Dortch. You have guys like John Wilson, I think his name is. He's stepping up. They're having some guys step up, and Trey McBride is playing well. Kyler Murray played well. The defense had important stops when it mattered most. So impressed by the Cardinals to get that win. They've been better down the stretch here. And usually that's been the opposite for the Cardinals, but it feels like Kyler Murray finally getting to a rhythm. Maybe that the team in general maybe getting to a little bit of a rhythm. Doesn't say much though. Number 24, the Minnesota Vikings moved down 1 spot. Really, really horrible outing versus the Packers. Not even giving a fight. Jaron Hall did not look good. I thought it was kind of questionable to start him, but it is what it is. Vikings moved down 1 spot. And you have the Raiders moving down 4 spots after a really bad loss to the Colts. To be honest with you, looking at that game, I think the Colts were fortunate to win that game. There were a lot of calls, a lot of things that really went their way. But at the end of the day, the Raiders didn't play well. They struggled. They struggled to make plays when it mattered most. And although down the stretch, they were playing well, and they did have, I think they did have the lead for a bit of this game as well. But yeah, I do have. No, they didn't. I believe the Colts maybe had it the whole while. I don't fully remember, but it was a tough outing. Nonetheless, couldn't really get the run game going too well, a little too late. Raiders moved down 4 spots to 23-22. The Falcons moved down 4. Oh, man. The defense played much worse than expected. It's just didn't really see much from the Falcons. The offense couldn't get it going. They couldn't make big plays when it mattered, and it didn't really feel like this game was ever really that close. I felt like the Bears really had this one, so unfortunate loss. I think that kicks them out of playoff contention. No, it actually doesn't. I checked real quick. If they win and the Panthers win, they're in. So take it for what you will there, but they didn't play well. I don't know if they're going to be able to beat the Saints. The Saints are a very interesting football team. They did just play a really good game against the Bucs. Speaking of the Saints, at 21 up 3 spots. They had a really good game against the Bucs when it mattered most, and it kind of felt like the score doesn't tell the full story. It felt like the Saints really had control of this entire football game. Now, You look at the Bucks; it feels like they were kind of saving something as being conservative for the playoffs. I mean, now they put themselves in a situation where they have to go beat the Panthers to get in, and it is what it is. But Saints move up 3 spots. They had a really nice one versus the Bucks. Bengals moving down a whopping 7 spots. I mean, it felt like they might have had that game in the bag, but if they convert that 4th down, I think they win that football game, but they didn't, of course. So moved down 7 spots. They were up some of this game, blew it. Jake Browning had a rough time against that Chiefs defense, as I thought he would. A little bit. So the Bengals moved down 7 spots, and then the Packers, man, they had quite the outing versus the Minnesota Vikings, haven't they? So they're right in the mix of things. Jordan Love looked pretty good. And then on top of that, you had Aaron Jones, who stepped up once again. He's now had 2 really big games in a row. Really nice to see from him. But Jordan Love, Aaron Jones, and this team really coming together, playing some good football late here in the year, moving up 2 spots to 19. Next up on the power rankings, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 18. They move up 4 spots after a really impressive victory over the Seahawks. I mean, the Steelers have been hot lately. It's maybe a little bit too late, but they did a very good job against Geno Smith and the Seahawks out there. And then, of course, their offense making big-time plays. So, the receivers are playing well. They ran the ball really well. Najee Harris ate the Seahawks alive. Defense made a couple of nice plays. So the Steelers here, they're coming alive here. If they sneak into the playoffs, maybe they could win a game or two. We'll see, though. Mason Rudolph is playing well now, but usually once the tape gets out, once you have a couple weeks, teams have a couple weeks worth of tape, they start to figure you out. They start to, it comes back to full circle. Mason Rudolph, he's been very good. Can he continue to do it? Can he continue to evolve his game and, fight the tape? Probably not. Number 17, the Indianapolis Colts move up 3 spots after a really nice win over the Raiders, putting themselves in a position for a win in versus the Houston Texans. And then if the Jaguars lose, if they win, they will win the division. Of course, it is the same situation for the Texans because it's Colts-Texans, big-time game, possibly for the division, absolutely for a playoff spot. Colts have a really nice game. I will say it felt like they were fortunate in this game. They did have a couple of things swing their way, and that's typically when the Colts win. I mean, they are a good football team. They've been a really good football team at times. They won the last 6 out of the last 8. They're a hot football team, but I don't think the Colts are as good as their record shows it is, but they're winning. It is what it is. They've been, they're really well coached, but Colts move up 3 spots to 17. 16, you have the Denver Broncos staying put. Really sloppy win over the Chargers. It is what it is. Move on. Defense had a nice day. Number 15, you have the Bucs moving down 3 spots. Really, really disappointing outing, if you ask me, for the Buccaneers. I mean, you look at the Bucs and you're like, that's a game you should win. You win that game and you're in. But, if you watch the game, it kind of seemed like the Bucs were kind of holding back, that they're like kind of saving plays for the playoffs. But now they put themselves in a situation where they need to win. Now, it's the Panthers. You win against the Panthers, fine. But, I mean, the Panthers have been sneaky lately. Didn't play good against the Jaguars, but I don't see why they can't possibly spoil a division for the Buccaneers. They would like nothing more to do that, but I do think that the Bucs, did save a lot. They're very conservative. I don't really understand why, because it's winning in. Why are you being conservative versus a team that's actually really good on paper? Than the Saints, they just haven't translated to the field. And I feel like the Saints outplayed them the entire game as well. Number 14, you have the Chicago Bears moving up 3 spots. I know I actually have the Bears a lot higher than a lot of people do. And that is because their defense has been playing really well. And it feels like the offense is starting to click a little bit. It feels like Justin Fields is finding some kind of a groove. He's playing well. Big decision to make this offseason. I think if Matt Eberflus stays, I think that Justin Fields stays. I think if Matt Eberflus is fired, I think Justin Fields probably leaves, or is the owner going to want someone new? Is the GM go? Is he going to want someone new? Is he going to want his own guy? I don't know, but do have the Bears moving up 3 spots to number 14 after a really dominating win over the Falcons. Defense has been out of this world. They've been great. Then number 13, you have the Seahawks moving down 2 spots after a really disappointing loss to the Steelers. I mean, um, couldn't stop the run, against a team that really struggles to run the ball at times. I don't really understand why they didn't run the ball more because the Steelers are a football team that you can run the ball on. It just kind of felt like they should have ran the ball more. I think they were kind of like trying to force throw it with Geno Smith, which it is what it is. But I mean, why stop running the ball if you're running well? I don't really get it. Um, yeah, really disappointing loss, and it puts them at a major disadvantage going into the playoffs here. Going into Week 18, and yeah, their playoff chances really tanked. Let me check them out really quick. Yeah, so now they have a 21% chance to make the playoffs via New York Times playoff simulator. Now, if they win this weekend and then the Bears win, then they can make it. That's it. So they need the Bears to beat the Packers, and they need to win themselves. But the Cardinals have been no cakewalk, as you've seen. This past weekend they just beat the Eagles 35. I don't remember what the exact score was, but they beat the Eagles, who's been an interesting football team. And I mean the Seahawks beat them, but it is what it is. But down 2 spots after a really disappointing loss, nonetheless, they could have put themselves in a really nice position going into this week, but they did not. So the Seahawks moving down 2 spots, down to number 13. Jaguars move up 3 spots after a really nice, impressive win versus the Panthers. I was looking at that game, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, this is probably going to be a close game. Bryce Young, the Panthers, they've been showing up lately. They've been looking better, but yeah, it kind of feels like they took like I said, when I talked about the Panthers, they were making, they were getting a couple steps forward, but it feels like they just took another 2 or 3 steps back. But one of the worst teams in football. I didn't really expect much from them, but I didn't expect that kind of a game. But give props to the Jaguars, man. Really good defense. That's kind of what I thought would be the difference in this game. The defense. I didn't know if the offense was really gonna do that much. Obviously they're a better team with Trevor Lawrence, but with the Jaguars, it's just like what side of the football is or isn't going to show up. It's inconsistent. It's like that's my problem with the Jaguars. But when they're on, they are one of the better teams in football. They are sorely missing Christian Kirk, but we'll see Trevor Lawrence hopefully comes back for this Week 18 matchup, which versus the Titans. The Titans are going to be hungry to play some spoilers. So see if they could. Next up, yeah, the Houston Texans, they move up 3 spots after an incredible dominating win over the Tennessee Titans. They looked really good right from the get-go. They felt like they were in control. It never felt like the Texans were going to lose that football game. And they have a big matchup this weekend against the Colts for a playoff spot. Winner gets in, loser will be eliminated. So Houston Texans move up 3 spots. Nice win this weekend. And they keep it going in the biggest game of the season on Saturday night. Then you have at number 10, Philadelphia Eagles moving down 4 spots. Yeah, man, recently this Eagles team has not been looking pretty good. I mean, still going into the playoffs, I think they're going to be a good football team. Are they? I'm not really going to try and make the excuse like I did for like the Bucks. Like, are they saving plays? Are they trying to save stuff for the playoffs? I mean, the offense hasn't been creative all year. It hasn't really been that great all year, to be honest with you. And on top of that, the defense has been very bad. The offense has been turnover prone, and and if you throw one of the worst defenses on top of that, it doesn't pan out really. It's not a formula for being one of the best teams in the NFL. They've struggled. Their OCs, their DC, they're sorely missing their coordinators from last year, and Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon. So many Eagles fans couldn't wait for Jonathan Gannon to be gone, and look at them now. It's Jonathan Gannon did such a good job getting everyone ready. It has not been the case this year with Sean Desai, and I don't even remember who. I think it's Brian Johnson, their OC. Not doing a good job very recently, looking like a really bad football team, losing the Cardinals. You lost to the Seahawks. I struggle to put games away, and then they kind of rely on that Philly push in short yard situations, and that kind of stuff tends to come and bite you in the butt. So, yeah, Eagles moving down 4 spots, number 10. Number 9, the Kansas City Chiefs. Barely got by. If it wasn't for that big 4th down play by Willie Gay Jr., we could probably see the Chiefs losing that game. They probably do lose that game. But they won. They were clutch when it mattered most. The Chiefs staying put at number 9. Number 8, Cleveland Browns moving up 2 spots. They're making it work, man. Joe Flacco is looking great. He was phenomenal versus the Jets. And that's, even though it's later in the season and the Jets aren't really that great of a football team, let's not act like they don't have a really good defense. They have an elite defense. They do. They absolutely do. That defense has been the main reason why the Jets were even in a lot of the games and even, in it as long as they were. But Browns, man, one of the best defenses in the NFL. If you were to tell me without Nick Chubb, without Deshaun Watson at this point, they would be the 11th seed at 11-5, I'd tell you, yeah, probably not. Kevin Stefanski is out of this world. His team has been out of this world. They get in, man. They are in. They're going to be dangerous. They're going to be dangerous as long as Joe Flacco can continue to play the way he has. The Browns are going to be dangerous, man. They have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. They can still run the darn football. Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, 2 guys that can get open at an elite level. Browns are dangerous. Moving up 2 spots, number 8. Number 7, Rams move up 1 spot. They had a little scare here. It seems like Sean McVay is one of those coaches, one of those guys where he will not show everything in the regular season. If they're in a position to make the playoffs or get to the playoffs, he's not going to show everything. And I felt like he was very conservative, held back a lot in this game. They were very fortunate by missed calls and misjudgments by the Giants later on in that game. But in the end, they did what they had to do. They were clutch. They wanted the most important moment and move on. And yeah, the Rams up 1 spot to number 7. All right, the Detroit Lions. All right, then you have the Detroit Lions moving up 1 spot to number 6. Lions, man, I know it's kind of weird moving the Lions up 1 spot when they lost. And I'm not going to blame the refs on that, but the refs were pretty horrible. They were horrible on both sides to both teams. But I don't really understand why you go for 2 there. I get it. He was going for 2. If they score a touchdown, you knew that they were going for 2 and going for the win. But sometimes, man, you just got to kick that extra point and go into OT and trust your defense. The Lions defense impressed me this game. They were much better than I thought they were going to be. They played very well. It did feel like the Cowboys outplayed the majority of the game. But the Lions made a couple of bad plays here and there, and it caught up with them. And, it feels like they're playing to go for it on 4th down. I don't really like that. If you have to just get the 1st down. The fake punts, man, that's going to catch up with you. That's not always going to work. But really good outing. I understand they lost. Why they moved up 1 spot? They lost. Well, they're moving up because they still played a really good game. And it's just kind of the way the board fell, But, yeah. Lions number 6 up 1 spot. Cowboys stay put. Very fortunate towards the end of that game. I guess both teams could have said that for both teams. Both teams had a shot. Had bad calls on each side. Like I said when we were talking about the Lions. But the Cowboys staying put. They outplay the majority of the game. Did a pretty good job. Offense has been a little sus the last 2 games. I thought the offense would have played much better, but CeeDee Lamb, man, what did he go for 250 in this game? CeeDee Lamb was a monster. The Lions could not control CeeDee Lamb. Rightfully so. He's been one of the best receivers in the league this year, if not the best. Well, Tyreek, I'd say is probably 1, but CD, I think he's in that conversation. It's 1A, 1B. But Cowboys defense showed up when it mattered most down the stretch there. Cowboys staying put number 5. All right, top 4. Number 4, you have the Miami Dolphins. They moved down 2 spots. You could argue I should have moved them down more. But they did beat the Cowboys. I still think they're better than some of these other teams behind them. No Jalen Waddle. That definitely hurt. That was a very disappointing outing. You got dominated. And yeah, they were out one of the best offensive players and such, but it felt like that drop by Tyreek Hill kind of set the tone for the rest of the game, that touchdown drop. But yeah, Dolphins moved down 2 spots. Fortunately, I didn't move them down more, getting beat that badly. But, I mean, the Ravens, they've been beating up on everyone. I'm just moving down 2 spots. Number 3, Niners moving up 1 spot. At the beginning of that game, it was looking like, Niners, what's going on here? And then, they end up looking like the Niners that we know and love. CMC ended up getting hurt, but he should be fine for next week. Number 2, Buffalo Bills, they're up 1 spot. Really nice win over the Patriots. Was a little closer than I thought it should have been. I mean, they got a lot of turnovers, but the game was still that close. It's interesting. They've had a couple weeks here where, once again, they're not really putting games away. They're being sloppy. Like, versus the Patriots, okay, you did fine. You won. You got turnovers. Versus the Chargers, you had a scare. Are they saving for the playoffs? Or are they not just trying not to show other cards until the playoffs? I can see it. I can see them doing something like that. But big win this weekend. Big game this weekend. 2-4. We have a lot of big games. You have the Bills, the Dolphins, Texans, Colts. Jaguars, Titans is big for the division as long as the Jaguars win that. You have the Saints and the Falcons. No, is it the Saints and the Falcons? Yes, the Saints and the Falcons. That can end up being a big one. Some pretty big games this weekend. The Steelers and the Ravens. Are the Ravens going to sit their starters? Are they going to play them 1 half? We'll see. But number 1, Baltimore Ravens, speak of the devil. Dominant. Yeah, I know Dolphins didn't have Jalen Waddle, but they've dominated every football team. They dominated the Niners. They dominated the Dolphins. They dominated the Lions early on in the season. The Ravens aren't playing around. They're the best team in football. I fully believe that. And that is going to do it for our NFL Week 18 Power Rankings. Just want to say I truly appreciate you guys for this season. It's been an awesome season. We do have our predictions coming up. That will be our last regular season predictions video. I'm going to miss it, man. I'm going to miss it. I had a really good time this year. And it sucks leaving it behind, but it's also exciting realizing what we have planned for the future of a lot of off-season content plans. So, yeah, that is all I got for you guys. Thank you for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show. Thank you for tuning in for NFL Power Rankings. But we will have Power Rankings next weekend. It will be a little different. It will just be the playoff teams. But, yeah, guys, that's all I got for me today. Thank you for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show, where every fan's welcome. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, put the post notification bell on. We will be back next week for the playoffs. Peace out, fan.